welcome or welcome back to my channel. So, um, today was uh, today was an annoying day. Basically, I had a bit of incidents with public transports here in KL. I mean, okay, to be fair, they weren't really, big things. It was just like really, really minor annoyance. So, um, yeah, I don't want to blow it out of proportion. So, uh, but I just kind of want to share my feelings today because it certain things happened repeatedly that it felt like there was a bit of a pattern today. Basically, it started with me it started with me missing the bus when I was going to school this afternoon. So, as I was approaching the bus stop where I usually wait for the bus, I saw that there was already a bus over there. And clearly I was going to miss that bus, so I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then behind that bus was also another bus. So basically it was like another bus that could have taken me to where I wanted to go, but that bus was just literally behind another bus that I could have taken. I could have taken both of those buses, but obviously I was going to miss both of those buses. So it was like it was kind of annoying that, both of those buses are so near each other. It felt like they were taunting me. And then sometime in the late afternoon, I wanted to go home, and so I wanted to go to the train station, and I would have to take another bus. And so I went to the spot where I usually hail the bus, and then I missed that bus by only a few seconds. So yeah, it felt like something was taunting me. And then, so I had to wait for another bus to come. But, it was fine. So when I arrived at the train station, by the time I reached the platform, the train left. So, okay. The universe was trying to tell me something. I was wearing my red pants today, and usually if I wear my red pair of pants, then I can expect that my day was going to be a lucky day. But turns out that that pair of red pants didn't really work today. Anyway, let's talk about books. Or rather, let's talk about just one book in this video. So here, I want to talk about Colorful by Eto Mori. I finished reading this book probably like 1 week ago, more than 1 week ago. Yeah, it was some time ago. And this book was something that kind of surprised me. Why? Because I never really expected that I would enjoy this book. I thought that it was going to be a quick read, that's all. But, I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't think that it was like the best book ever written, or my, something that I would consider as one of my most favorite books ever. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, so there was something that was sufficiently enjoyable with this book that I just kind of want to share with y'all. So yeah, Colorful was originally written and published in Japanese. I think it was released sometime in 1998. And this edition that I'm holding is the English translation, translated from the Japanese by Jocelyne. So this book is something a bit like a young adult fiction with elements of I wouldn't say elements of fantasy, but with fantastical elements. So basically, it follows a lost soul, the soul of a departed individual. We don't know who this soul is or was, what his name was. We just know that there was a formless soul, and apparently this soul has committed some grave sin that sort of made him lose the privilege of being reincarnated again. So he's in the afterlife, and he's approached by an angel named Prapura. And apparently, the angel's boss held some kind of lottery, and this lost soul has won the lottery, which entails that this lost soul would have a short opportunity to have a bit of a do-over in life by inhabiting a new body. At least that's what the angel Prapura told this lost soul. And the lost soul was just kind of like, okay, let's do it, I guess. So this lost soul ended up inside the body of a recently deceased 14-year-old boy named Makoto Kobayashi. Now this story, most of it would take place in modern Japanese society. I would say sometime in the 90s, just to be specific. So this soul ends up inhabiting this body of a 14-year-old boy, and what follows after that is we pretty much just kind of follow this soul as he kind of discovers why this 14-year-old boy decided to kill himself, by getting to know his family, his environment, his school, and just trying to understand why this boy did what he did. Now, another layer to that mystery is, of course, related to the identity of this lost soul. And in fact, that sort of ties into another task that this lost soul had to do, according to this angel. So apparently, one thing that he has to do is that he needs to remember the grave sin that he committed when he was alive before. So basically, this soul has some kind of amnesia. He does not know what he did that was like so bad, so grievous that he lost the chance for reincarnation. So basically, that's another layer to the mystery in the book. Like, what was the sin of this soul? Who exactly was this soul? Like, who was this person? Was he an important person? Like, who is he? What did he do? Kind of stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically the gist of this book. Now, my first impression of this novel is that it can get kind of cheesy sometimes, but somehow, I was able to tolerate the cheesiness. And I think very likely it has something to do with the fact that I just happened to read this book at the right time. And there aren't many books that I could say, that I could describe my reading experience like that. Many books that I ended up enjoying would be the kind of books that I enjoyed simply because those books really, the writing style, the content just really fits with my personal reading taste. But this book would be something that if I were to have read it at a different time, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. But I think around this time, there was something about this book. I think it's probably the more uplifting aspect of this book that kind of perked me up a little bit. It just gave me a bit of that motivation. And overall, it is also because of its cheesiness that it also ended up becoming something that was kind of cozy to me. Now, if I were to really pay attention to things that I tend to nitpick when I look at books, I could definitely mention some aspects of this book that I, in some of the situations would probably penalize this book for. So first of all is that I think that this book, in terms of its world building, in terms of its the design of its universe setting, considering that this book has some kind of magic or fantastic element attached to it, I feel like there are some plot holes or lack of information that I think could have. Okay, the word "could have" might be wrong. There are some lack of information or plot holes that I could identify, but at the same time, as I was thinking about picking this book apart through that lens, I also thought that the core story of this book doesn't really need that detailed of a world building. So, even without those details, this book could still stand on its own. It could still pretty much be reincarnated as whatever incarnation as it stands right now. So so basically, in short, the core of this book does not really rely so much on peripheral things such as world building. Now, on to things such as characterization. I feel like those aspects were written quite well, I think. Going back to how this book is something of a young adult fiction, it is a book that has a bit of element related to coming of age. And with coming of age kind of stories, you get a main character who is sort of dealing with the emerging complexity of reality. And I just find it kind of interesting that there is that the entry into this introduction of complexity is preceded by something as extreme as a suicide. Yeah, and I just thought that is kind of interesting. It kind of represents like the initial uh, the initial uh, the initial fatal step, if that makes sense. And that fatal step ends up becoming something like a catalyst that would drive the characters forward into their adventure of their own self. And so we definitely have that kind of plot line in here where the character just kind of begins to learn about how complicated human existence can be. But I don't want to give too much details. Something that got me feeling a little bit suspicious is also the voice of the main character. So we know that the main character is a little bit complex. The main character is a soul that also inhabits the body of another person. So in a sense, it's kind of like it's not exactly one person, it's one person in another person. So how does that work? Is that one person, or is that two persons? How does that work? So that part is kind of interesting, and that part also relates to the voice of the main character, because this book is also narrated through the point of view of the main character. So the voice of that main character kind of informs us on the possible identity of who this person is, and it kind of gives us some clue, like things, important things such as what could possibly be the age of this person, what could possibly be the level of immaturity or level of maturity of this main character based on how the narration is written. And I definitely sensed something as I read this novel, but I don't want to, give any details because I don't want to spoil things, but certainly it is something that one can sort of decipher by reading into things like the word choice or the thinking pattern of this main character. So it's kind of interesting to see. Yeah, back to how this book was kind of cheesy. While it is cheesy, for me at least, it also deals with tons of really, really dark and heavy themes. So many of these themes are probably going to be kind of heavy and triggering for some people. We're talking about mental illness, suicide, obviously, sexual assault, violence, death, obviously, suicide. And so these are just some of the things that are featured in this book. So it does have its own fair share of really dark themes. But there is also a very strong comical slant to it. We often get like banter scenes between the main character and also the angel, and their interactions are supposedly shown to be a bit more on the comical side. So yeah, it's kind of light and positive in that sense, but it also doesn't shy away from heavy topics. So yeah, quite nice on that front. And I also read the afterword of this book. I seldom read afterwards. And from the afterword we can sort of see like the intention of the author in writing this book, and that would probably shed some light on certain stylistic choice that we would end up encounter in this story. So for me, I think that was a great supplementary reading. Maybe I should try reading more supplementary, no, not supplementary, maybe, introduction and afterwards sometime in my future reading, maybe. But anyway, Colorful by Eto Mori is an interesting book. If you like something that has a bit of a YA flavor to it, or you like something that deals with mental health, I think this book is probably something that you want to try. It is also a very quick read. So if you want to read something very quickly, why not give this book a try? When I finished this book, I also remember that it's May, and in May, two booktubers came middle of the book March, and also Marilyn Mendoza are doing a mental health May themed month, and I just thought that this book really fits that theme. So yeah, just plugging that in. Check them out. And yeah, that's all for this book and this video. Let me know if you have read this, and let me know if you have any other recommendations. How's your day? Did you get taunted by public transportation today or any other day? Let me know if you have any stories. But yeah, other than that, I think I'm gonna sleep. Yeah, it's been a very annoying day. So I'm gonna sleep and I'm gonna take some rest. And I guess that's all.